my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. We have got pumpkins today and a Wiener Dog kickoff. It's a Wiener Dog quilt along for the week. We're going to sew a Wiener Dog in a week. But before we do that, I have some things I have to put away in order to be able to work on those, and I thought I would just chat about how that process is. First, right here is the final little section of the Harrisonburg that needs done. This and stitching the label down and writing on the label, which is back here. So here's the label here, and I have to stitch it. I also then need to write all the information on it, and I need to embroider my initials. So one of the things is, when I started working on this, I thought, you know, I just need a chunk of time. The Harrisonburg quilt, which is the quilt we did as a fundraiser for the Virginia Quilt Museum, it's a big quilt, and mine is heavily quilted, so it's kind of heavy, and until I work with it a little bit, it's a little bit firm because of there's so much quilting on it. Here you can see up close, so it makes it a little bit bulky to work with. All right, come on. So can you see I've got my Harrisonburg wide back, which is just perfect with it. Look at this. So you can see it's got these gorgeous roses, which let me just flip it over. There we go. Look at them. Look at them. Aren't they beautiful? And it'll loosen up a little bit. You know, it'll be a little bit more pliable as I go along. But I was doing the blanket stitch, you know, my binding by machine. Here it is sewn to the back, pulled to the front, and then it's blanket stitched down. So you can see it there. I think it'll focus. There you go. You can see the blanket stitching. That white is a high contrast. Camera has trouble with that. So as I was working, and then I got to this part with the hanging sleeve, and I only have this chunk here left to do. This is not very much. But one of the things is, I was like, well, you know, this took a lot of time to work on this project. I had to, you know, it had to clear things away because of it being bulky to do the binding. I had to move all the camera equipment. And then I started at like 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, and I got to this point, meaning stitching. All right, let me pull it back some. Whoop. You know, I got to stitching. It was about 7 o'clock at night, maybe a little bit longer. So I got all this stitched up till this section here. And so from 2 to 7. So that's a pretty long day of sitting at the machine and wrangling the quilt. You know, when I do the blanket stitch, I don't zoom at the speed of sound. I like to stitch it just a little bit slower. I feel like it, you know, it's much faster than doing this by hand, blanket stitching. And I do all mine by machine pretty much, unless it's a tiny thing. But that's just, you know, it's part of the process, part of your quilting, and it's kind of part of my journey to finish this quilt and have a little conversation with it. Think about the original in the museum, and think about the women who made quilts before us, and the men and the women who made quilts before us, and how they had to handle what they were doing, how they had to work on it, how long it took them. The number of hours I spent just on the binding is minuscule, you know, to what they would have had to do. So it was fun. It was kind of fun, relaxing. I listened to, because I couldn't really watch them, but I listened to some YouTube videos of people that, you know, had more of a format of like mine, where I could just listen to the chat and then occasionally look at what they were talking about. So that is what a big chunk of time was. So now I have to take, this is going to be moved. It's still not done, but I'll go ahead and put it in the living room so I can get the label stitched and this ready to go for Saturday down at the Virginia Quilt Museum. But now I need to go take this stuff off the design wall so we can talk about the pumpkins and the Wiener Dog. So I've got to clear everything again, and we're going to go look at the sea glass on the other side. So here is the sea glass up, and I have this whole section. It's pinned up there. This whole section is sewn, and this one. Now everything else is still single blocks. Plus, I am going to go ahead and make it bed size, which means I need to put, there's 8 across here, so I need to do 8 9, 10, 11. So I need to do 3 more rows. So that'd be 88. That'll be a nice long drape on the bed. So I think what I'm going to do is not worry about placement and just do the placement again. I could, you know, sort of fuss around with it, but really these are so scrappy that placement is not hard. I mean, you got to check, I have to check it a little bit, be sure those dots are kind of a little bit more dispersed. But if I'm going to be adding in all those blocks, I'm going to add some. I could add some on the side. I could add like a row or 2 in the middle, a row on the side, something like that. Plus, I have to add some along the bottom. So it has to be rearranged. And so I think what I'm going to do is just pack it all up for a little bit. Maybe take a couple of sections that I can sew as I'm sewing other stuff so that I could actually sew parts of it. You know, I might do that for, anyways, you know, it's a process because I thought maybe I would get more of it sewn. Silly woman, right? I thought I would, but it didn't happen. Okay, and today is also Make Your Bed Day. And of course, that's awesome for us quilters because we should have a quilt on our bed. So share the quilt that's on your bed. It doesn't have to be a picture of it on the bed, but share the quilt that you have on your bed or you sometimes put on your bed. So I would love, love, love to see that today because this is mine, the sea glass. And okay, so I gotta go take it down and then we'll talk about pumpkins. So I did go ahead, take them all down, and I have them sort of grouped by vertical row, and there's five columns. And so I'm thinking I'll take 2 of them and sew them, and then 2, and then on either side of that, and then probably on the far end or on the other end will be the 3rd column that I need to add in. And then there'll be some that have to go on the bottoms of all the columns. So I'm going to tack this as columns, which is kind of what I did already. Okay, got that. Now let's go on to the pumpkins. So here is the row from the Jolly Bar, the Harvest Moon fabric line from Joanna Figueroa. I do have to mention something because I forgot. It's not a big deal, but I want to point it out. So let's take a look because I have to. So I'm going to show you this picture, and popped up right over here next to me is the digital rendering. The digital rendering is different than the one that they put on the pattern. They just put blocks in different places, so I suspect one of these was probably an early layout and then maybe somebody made the quilt and switched some of the blocks, so they did the final digital. I don't know, whatever it is. I am using this one because that's what I started with, and I knew that this was an issue, and I totally forgot that the digital, which is easier to see because you can go to my website to the project page and it's there. Bobby helped me piecing these, and she and I talked about it when we first started it, but that was quite a few weeks ago, and so I totally forgot. Anyway, so I am laying mine out like the little bitty picture that's hard to see. So this week, this week we have got the 2 pumpkins on the end. I have the black pumpkin, so cute. And then the later one, if you're using the same Jolly Bar or the fabric line, it's the later pumpkin. There's next week's looks like this. Next week's pumpkin looks like that. So I'm using the one with the white images. And then I've got the medium-sized pumpkin with the stripes, right? And then the other vertical stripe, he goes on the far side. And I'll sew this up and show it to you. Then I have, because they're not all going to fit in here. Then we have the light pumpkin, which I adore, and the taller pumpkin. So this, this goes out here, sorry. The light pumpkin goes out there. But look how pretty that is. Oh, okay, so there is the basis of it. And the black one's out there. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is sew this together, and then we're going to talk about the mini pumpkins. So I sewed it together, sewed the row together. Here we are. This is row number 2. So there's 3 rows in this quilt because these are kind of tall pumpkins, and I believe there's spacers in between, which is we'll doing all the setting. I'll do all the setting on the 4th week. Now those of you who don't have that Jolly Bar pattern because you had to have it in the Jolly Bar, a lot of you are making this one or some other pumpkin pattern that you like. So you should be on your row 2 this week, and if you're doing more rows, you'll have to then 3 or 4. 4 is probably what a lot of you are doing, but if you're doing more than that, you'll just have to make more pumpkins. Now there is the mini version from Cluck Cluck Sew of this one. There's a little mini version, and last week when I showed my white one, I did a white one, yeah. So it's like this is a go, yes, go for green for go. But I thought, what if all the the oranges were different fabrics in this little mini. The mini is not big. It is 23 by 29, so it's it's pretty small. But I went and pulled my pumpkin fabric. I don't really have a lot of orange fabric right now. Let's just take a look. So I have to have 16. So I've already got 1, so I need 17 more fabrics. And then I remembered I had a bundle from last year's fall line from Fig Tree called Pumpkin and Blossom. And so how many are in here? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7. That one's 2. Well, you can't see that, can you? Sorry about that. So there's 7. There's 7 of these fabrics. So I will pull all of these to do a pumpkin. And then, so that's 7. Got to have a dot, 8, another dot, 9. And then I don't know that I want to go too dark, but 9. And then I have 10. There's a 10. That's a lot darker. I don't know. Might put 10. That'd be 11. And then here's from what I used in the fruitcake. That was 11, 12, 13. I won't use this one because that looks too light, I think. So there's 13. This is cute. 13, 14. Here we go. 15. And do I do another dark one? 16. Do I have enough? 16. Here's 17. 17. Ooh, it's getting close. 17. There's 18. Of course, I have octopus and strawberries. Don't want those. 18. There's 19. No, I only need 17. What am I doing? Somebody yell stop. Okay, so I can take one of these out. Maybe this one. Keep it with a smaller scale, or maybe this one and keep this for binding, right? Keep that for binding. That'll be good. I'm going to put it on the pile. Okay, so I have to cut the background, cut all of these for those the rest of the pumpkins. So that's the next task, and but we aren't gonna wait for me to cut that to keep filming. Not that you would see me cutting it. That's like watching paint dry, to watch somebody cut fabric. But I will. That'd be like one of those long form videos where somebody just cuts fabrics and chits and chats for an hour, and then you do your thing in the background. I don't know. Maybe someday I should have a video like that. But not today. Today we're going to now switch over to the Wiener Dog, and I'm going to go to the other side so that I can lay the jelly roll out, and we can take a look at it and analyze what we're going to do to get because we're going to sew at least I am sewing on the Wiener Dog every day this week, so that hopefully by the end of the week he is done, and on Saturday is jelly roll day, so I will hopefully have the top done. Okay, let's go. So we are doing Stacy Itsu's pattern all wrapped up, and I actually noticed there was a slightly smaller version now out there, which I believe also had a PDF version. The print patterns aren't there right now for these, but you can get the PDFs like I did. So we have to pick the jelly roll, and you had opinions on my jelly rolls. Oh my goodness, and you cracked me up. Your reasoning sometimes for why you liked one over the other was kind of funny. like the swan. This is the one that stuck in my head. Stuck in my head is that you said I couldn't use the swan fabric because, first one was because maybe the swans would be going the wrong direction. They would be sideways. Well, this is a legitimate thing to think about. Since it's a jelly roll, I can't control the direction of the swans. And the other thing is that you said, well, the dogs would chase swans, therefore you couldn't have swans as the dog. Okay, so that's logic. That's one reason. I still like it, but I'm going to go with I may do this one. I probably will do this one like as a sew as I go along, but not this week, but in the future, because I just want to see that made up. And there's just going to be a great quilt to give for children, and I have some requests for children's quilts from the groups that I work with. Okay, Stacy Itsu's the children's fabric. All right, got to put my timer on. There we go. I hope I don't talk too long, folks. You know I'm a chatty one. Okay, so I have to let's clean the jelly roll a bit. Let's get some of the stuff off before we go too far, and it's everywhere, right? These have, because they're pre-cut, it's still got, they leave us, they send us all of the lovely little stuff on there. So, okay, so I'll do that a bit more. I am going to, well, I have to open it now. So there, that was it. So I am going to use my Harmony wide back as my background, because I love this print, and I'm thinking like that is going to be so pretty with these strips. So here I can see the strips. Oh, it's so exciting to open a jelly roll. Now even the light ones will show up against there, which is so cool. There's some other light ones. And then, the letters, I think everything is going to look really good. Now, we're attacking it as a daily thing for me. And you could stretch it out to weeks, you could do however you want. But there are kind of 5 sections. The head, then 3 body sections, and the tail. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to sew it, and I'll cut it, show you the parts, then I'll sew it and show you, as I'm going to do just the head and just the rear. Bringing up the rear. So I'm going to cut those 2 and show you them cut, and then show them sewn up. Then tomorrow we'll dive into sewing this, then that will be Tuesday, so this, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we'll finish the last one. So this might be also on Tuesday, these 2 sections, then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just in case I get slow or something. Yeah, that's probably the plan. Okay, oh, we have to have a face. The face and the rump. We got the rump and the face. I've got that brown that I've been showing you that I've had for, like forever. And there's plenty of it. This is also super cute for a face. I just don't know if I have enough. It says there should have a 1/4 yard. I think it probably takes less than a 1/4 yard, but I'm not gonna mess around. I don't want to mess around. And then I have this tonal one. This grunge one rather. It's grunge, so it's got some texture to it, which is also pretty cool. So I think I'm going to use the grunge for this this jelly roll. Okay, those 2 will go back. All right, I'll get them cut and show it to you. As I'm working and reading the pattern, I am cutting, like for the face, I am just using the diagram and cutting and seeing the pattern and just cutting the pieces that I need, 1 piece at a time. I'm not cutting strips. Even though the pattern does have some of that, I'm not doing that. I'm just cutting for the face and the rump. I'm just cutting what I need. So that's why you see these units out. I just cut a square, put it in place, and then go along. So also I needed an ear. I forgot, the ear and the nose, I'll use this. That's perfect. It's so cute on there. Okay, back to get it cut up. Here are all the pieces cut before I sew anything. Like this is the 1/2 square triangle area. This will be the nose up here, like the nose. This is the ear. And I will sew all this and then assemble it and show you the picture. And I am using just the cut sizes in the written directions on page, what is it? Page 2. Yeah, on page 2. So I am not using the cutting directions on the main page. I'm just using page 2 and doing it 1 sentence at a time, 1 little unit at a time. So now I'll sew this before I go to the legs and the rump. Here's something else that might help you if you decide to do like me and just use all the cutting directions from the lines, from the written line, is I went ahead and highlighted everything as I went along, and that way it pops out from the text. All the sew and flips done, and so cute. You can see the doggy face. Okay, I'll just do the trimming away part and sew it together. Well, I have the little face. Look how sweet that is. And both of the little feet done. So whoops, I'm about to drop that. So I have the face and the feet done. So look how cute they are. Those are pretty easy. Just be sure that you put these on the correct side. Otherwise your feet will be weird. Not even backwards, just weird. The face is so darling. Okay, tomorrow I will do the rump and the body. The first part of the body here at the top. So I'm going to break it up like that. Didn't get it all in today for this video. You were also going to do your pumpkins, and I have down here, oh, you can see down my hallway there. I've got mine to cut. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. So I'm going to cut the other 15 pumpkins. Is that it? I think there's 16, whatever it is. Cut the rest of the pumpkins. There you go, Pat. Just say the rest. That's enough. All right, my friend. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.